Hi again. In this section, we're going to be talking about tools of the trade. Let me give you a little bit of a disclaimer up front. A lot of what we're going to be talking about, you don't have to have. Really, all you need to get started on hand lettering is a pencil and a piece of paper. It's as simple as that. But these materials we're going to talk about are really the basics. For under $50, probably at your local craft store or Amazon, you can buy these things and it'll help get you started and practice these initial techniques until you get more confident. When you get more confident and find yourself enjoying it and using it, then you can go out and try some of the more expensive stuff. What we're really focusing on is just the basics and not breaking the bank. So, everywhere I go, I always take with me a pouch filled with the basics, okay? So I'll always have a pad of paper and doodle wherever I go, whether it's in the doctor's office with my grandmother or waiting to pick up the kids while they're, at Girl Scouts, whatever. I can doodle wherever I go. It doesn't take a lot of time. So a pad of paper. I also take with me a pencil and an eraser. It doesn't need to be any fancy pencil, just a number 2 eraser, a number 2 pencil with a sharp tip, and a high polymer eraser. This is worth its weight in gold. It's not super expensive. I think I got like a 3-pack at Target for a couple of bucks. But it really helps you to erase any sketch lines without leaving a residue. So this is amazing. I also always carry with me a ruler to help keep my design straight because I tend to always veer to one side. So a ruler is really wonderful. And I got this little ruler at Staples. Isn't that perfect? It goes in my purse really well. As far as markers, I love my Tombow dual brush marker. And it's right here. Tombow dual brush marker. I use black for a lot of projects because it's just easy and you can go over watercolor or accent it with other colors. So black is a must-have, but they come in like a rainbow of colors. So on one side it has a nice brush pen or I guess brush marker, and you can press really hard without it fraying and it'll give a nice wide line. And but then if you press lightly, it'll have a much lighter line, which really in modern calligraphy or hand lettering, the beauty is in the difference between the two pressures. The other side is a fine tip point, and that's great for any detail work or fixing any lines or mistakes you might have. So I love the dual brush markers from Tombow. Another one of my favorites from Tombow is their Funosuke pen, and that's really nice for smaller projects, like whether it's a card or addressing an envelope, something like that. Those are great for smaller projects. I also really like the Pentel sign pens, and they're very similar to the Funosuke, except they come in a rainbow of colors. I think like 8 or 10 colors. So they're a lot of fun to have too. So I tend to carry a little bit of everything with me when I go places. Going back to paper, I have a journal that I keep in my purse wherever I go. But when I'm at home, I usually use the HP Premium Laser paper. The idea is that you really just want a very smooth paper because you don't want to fray your tips of your brushes on your paper. So that's really great. If you don't have that, just use regular copy paper. I occasionally will use watercolor paper if I'm also doing a watercolor design, but that's harder on the brushes. So you'll find that your tips will fray a little faster. If you're wanting to transfer your design from your sketch onto your final product, a light pad or a tracing pad is really helpful, and you can get them off Amazon for like 30 bucks. You can also use transfer paper or carbon paper if you remember that from when you were a kid. That works really nicely, but you need to be careful not to rub your hand against it too much or it gets smudges on your paper. If you're doing wooden signs or any sort of project where you might want to use acrylic paint, I love the Elmer's Painter markers. And you can find those at Walmart or probably on Amazon. But they are wonderful and do a great job. They're the best paint markers I've found. So again, after you invest a little bit in these cheaper supplies, and you get more comfortable, you can start trying out more expensive options or different types of medium like watercolor or whatever. So it's a great way to get started. These are very basic tools and they're not expensive. So we'll see you in the next section.